My pregnant ex-fiancée left me for another man, now she wants my money. Hey Reddit. My fiancée, Emily, and I were together for 6 years. We had been through everything: college, job struggles, family issues, and financial hardships, but we always had each other's backs. Or at least, that's what I thought. A few months ago, she dropped a bombshell on me: she was pregnant. At first, I was over the moon. We had talked about kids before, and while we weren't actively trying, we weren't exactly preventing it either. I thought this was the start of the next chapter in our lives. But before I could even get used to the idea of being a dad, my world shattered. Out of nowhere, Emily became distant. She started staying out late, being glued to her phone, and making excuses whenever I tried to talk about the baby. I knew something was off, but I never imagined the betrayal that was coming. One evening, I came home to find her sitting on the couch with a blank expression. She didn't even wait for me to sit down before she said, "I don't think this is working anymore." I was stunned. My fiancée, the mother of my unborn child, was telling me she wanted to break up, just like that. When I pressed her for a reason, she finally admitted the truth: there was someone else. I felt my chest tighten as she confessed that she had been seeing another man for months, and she was in love with him. I couldn't even process it. My first question was about the baby. Was it mine? She hesitated before saying she wasn't sure. That hesitation was enough to tell me everything. The woman I had planned to spend my life with had betrayed me in the worst way possible. And now, she wasn't even certain if the baby she carried was mine or someone else's. I was heartbroken, furious, and humiliated all at once. Emily moved out the next day, saying she needed space to figure things out. I spiraled into a depression, questioning everything. How could she do this to me? How could she move on so easily while I was left picking up the pieces? It wasn't just about the relationship. I had been preparing to be a father. And now, I didn't even know if I was. Weeks passed, and I started the painful process of moving on. I threw myself into work, hit the gym, and tried to focus on anything other than Emily. Then, out of the blue, she reached out. At first, I thought maybe she had realized she made a mistake. Maybe she wanted to talk about the baby. But I was wrong. She didn't call to apologize or to tell me she missed me. She called to ask for money. Emily claimed she was struggling financially and needed help with pregnancy expenses. She told me that regardless of the situation, I should step up because there was still a chance the baby was mine. I was floored. This woman had left me, betrayed me, possibly carried another man's child, and now she had the audacity to ask for my money? I told her straight up that I wasn't giving her a dime unless she got a paternity test. That's when she flipped. She went on a tirade about how I was abandoning my responsibilities and how she was disappointed in me. She even said that I was being petty and cruel. I reminded her that she was the one who left me for another man. She was the one who broke my trust. If she wanted my financial support, I needed proof that the child was mine. She refused, calling me heartless and selfish before hanging up. Not long after, her new boyfriend, yes, the same guy she left me for, texted me, demanding that I be a man and support Emily. He said that I was acting immature and that I needed to get over it because a baby was involved. That text sent me over the edge. I responded by telling him that if he was so concerned about Emily's well-being, he could be the one to pay for everything. After all, he was the one she chose, right? Days later, Emily's family started reaching out to me. Her mom called, saying I needed to do the right thing. Her sister messaged me, claiming that Emily was going through a tough time and I was making it worse. I asked them one simple question: did she tell you what she did? Silence. They had no idea she had cheated. When I filled them in, they were stunned. Some of them still pushed for me to help, saying it's about the baby, not Emily. But others admitted that they understood my side. Despite the pressure, I stood firm. No paternity test, no money. I wasn't about to be manipulated into paying for a child that might not even be mine, especially after the way Emily treated me. But the drama wasn't over. A few weeks later, Emily called me again, this time crying. She said she was overwhelmed, that her new boyfriend wasn't as supportive as she thought he'd be. She admitted that she missed what we had and that she regretted how things ended. For a split second, I felt a pang of sympathy. But then I remembered everything. The lies, the betrayal, the way she discarded me like I meant nothing. She asked if we could talk in person, and against my better judgment, I agreed. I needed closure. When I met her, she looked different, stressed, tired, and not the confident woman who had walked out on me. She told me that things with her new boyfriend weren't going well. He wasn't as financially stable as she thought, and he wasn't as excited about the baby as he had originally claimed to be. She hinted at wanting to work things out between us, at least for the baby's sake. But I saw right through it. She didn't want me back. She wanted security. She wanted someone to pick up the pieces after her plan fell apart. I told her the same thing I had told her before: paternity test or nothing. She got angry again, saying I should just trust her. I laughed. Trust? After what she did? That was long gone. I told her I wasn't playing her games anymore and walked away. Now, I'm left wondering what's next. Will she actually take the test? Will she keep trying to guilt me into helping? And what if, by some chance, the baby is actually mine? Would I be able to co-parent with a woman who betrayed me so deeply? There are still so many unanswered questions, and something tells me the drama isn't over yet. Update. After my last conversation with Emily, I thought that would be the end of it. I had made my stance clear: no paternity test, no money. But of course, she wasn't going to let it go that easily. A week later, I got another call from her, but this time she wasn't crying or trying to guilt trip me. Instead, she sounded angry, almost furious, like I had personally ruined her life. She started off by saying that I was a terrible person for abandoning her during pregnancy, that I was a disgrace for not stepping up, and that I would regret this someday. I calmly reminded her that I had been willing to step up from the very beginning, until she decided to betray me and run off with another man. That shut her up for a moment, but then she came back with something I wasn't expecting. She said she was done asking nicely and that she was going to take legal action against me for child support. That caught me off guard. I asked her if she had finally taken the paternity test, and of course, she hadn't. She was still trying to guilt me into just blindly accepting responsibility. I told her she was wasting her time because no court was going to make me pay a dime without proof that the baby was mine. She scoffed and said that I was going to regret this decision, that I was making things harder for her, and that I was showing my true colors. Then she hung up. A few days later, I started hearing rumors from mutual friends that Emily's new boyfriend had bailed on her. Apparently, he wasn't as committed to the idea of playing house as she had originally thought. From what I heard, he started distancing himself when the financial reality of having a baby set in. He stopped helping with expenses, stopped showing up to her doctor's appointments, and according to one friend, he even started ghosting her completely. I won't lie, there was a petty part of me that felt some satisfaction hearing that, but overall, I just felt exhausted by the whole situation. Then, out of nowhere, Emily reached out again, but this time, she sounded desperate. She said she was willing to take the paternity test, but only if I promised that no matter what the results said, I would at least be there for her. That set off alarms in my head. It made me think that deep down, she already knew the baby wasn't mine and she was just trying to get me emotionally invested before the truth came out. I told her that I would only be involved if the child was mine, no exceptions, no compromises. That was the last time I heard from her for a while. Another update. Weeks passed, and I didn't hear anything from Emily. I started to believe that maybe she had finally given up and moved on. But then, out of nowhere, I got a text message from her with nothing but an image attached. It was a screenshot of the paternity test results. My heart pounded as I opened it, expecting the worst, or maybe hoping for confirmation that I was right all along. But when I saw the results, I felt like the air had been sucked out of my lungs. The baby was mine. I sat there staring at the screen, reading the words over and over, trying to process what this meant. After everything that had happened, after all the lies and betrayal, after her trying to pin responsibility on me without proof, the child actually was mine. And now, I had a decision to make. I had spent months resenting Emily, refusing to be manipulated, and standing my ground. But this changed everything. Emily called me right after sending the results. This time, she wasn't angry or defensive, she was quiet, almost timid. She asked if I was willing to talk, and for the first time in a long time, I agreed. We met up at a small cafe, and when I saw her, she looked different. She was exhausted, emotionally drained, and not the confident, manipulative person she had been before. She admitted that she had made a mistake, that she had been selfish and reckless, and that she regretted everything. She also confessed that her new boyfriend had completely abandoned her, that he had blocked her number and wasn't involved at all. She was alone and scared, and now that she knew the baby was mine, she was hoping we could figure things out for the sake of our child. I told her I needed time to process everything. I wasn't just going to forgive and forget what she had done. But I also wasn't going to abandon my child. I made it clear that while I would be involved as a father, that did not mean we were getting back together. She nodded, saying she understood, but I could tell there was something else on her mind. That's when she asked me something I wasn't expecting. She wanted to know if I would move back in with her until the baby was born. She said she was struggling, that she had no one else, and that it would be easier for both of us if I was there to help with the pregnancy. She even suggested that it could help us rebuild some kind of relationship as co-parents. I told her I wasn't sure. It was a lot to take in, and honestly, after everything she had done, the idea of living with her again made my stomach turn. I left that conversation with more questions than answers. I was now faced with a reality I hadn't prepared for. I was going to be a father. But could I trust Emily enough to be around her again? Could I co-parent with someone who had betrayed me so deeply? And more importantly, what kind of role did I want to play in this child's life? Final update. After a lot of thinking, I ultimately decided that moving back in with Emily was not an option. There was too much baggage, too much history, and honestly, I didn't trust her enough to share a living space with her again. Instead, I told her I would help financially and be there for the baby, but we would keep our personal lives separate. She didn't take it well at first. She tried to convince me that we could make it work, that we could at least try for the baby's sake. But I wasn't budging. Over the next few months, I did my part. I helped her with doctor's visits, I contributed financially when necessary, and I made it clear that I would be in my child's life no matter what. But Emily, being Emily, still found ways to make things difficult. She would try to drag personal drama into our conversations, bringing up old wounds and asking if I still hated her. She would hint at wanting to try again and even went as far as saying that maybe this baby was a sign that we were meant to be. I shut that down immediately. Eventually, she seemed to accept that we were never getting back together. She focused more on preparing for the baby and less on trying to manipulate me. The day finally came when she went into labor, and I was there for the birth. Seeing my child for the first time was surreal. For all the pain and chaos that led up to this moment, none of it mattered when I held my baby in my arms. That was the moment I knew, no matter what happened between Emily and me, I would always be there for my child. Now, I'm navigating life as a single dad co-parenting with a woman I don't trust. It's not easy, and I know it never will be. But one thing is clear, Emily may have shattered my heart, but she will never take away my right to be a father. And that is something she will have to accept, whether she likes it or not.